So, full disclaimer, this week I definitely bit off more than I can chew, and it didn't go quite to plan. I do still end up with some kind of result in the end, but I thought it was important to show you that not everything goes quite right the first time. Hi everyone, today I am going to be attempting to make clay from my garden. We recently dug a hole in the garden and noticed that the dirt was pretty much all clay. So I thought, can I use this like regular clay and maybe even save some money in the process? I watched a few YouTube videos, but the basic method seemed to be to dig up some clay-rich soil, add a bunch of water to the dirt, and then mix that into a slurry. I carefully selected the most clay-looking bits of dirt until I had a decent amount in my bucket. Then I sprayed it all down and added some water until it covered everything and a little bit extra for luck. So in the interest of saving a few pounds on buying clay, I invested in this drill attachment, which is usually used for mixing paint or concrete. It did a great job, and who doesn't love using power tools? Now, this is where I may have messed up a little bit. Because we could see that the dirt was mostly clay, I didn't filter the slurry. Correction to my previous self, this is definitely where I messed up, and I definitely should have filtered it regardless of how much clay I thought was in the soil to begin with. I did put my hand in the bucket to check that all the clay was mixed in and remove any rocks that had fallen to the bottom. The next step is to wait, and make sure that my dog doesn't consider this an extra flavourful water bowl. Now those of you who are frequent viewers will know that waiting is not my strong suit. But you have to basically wait for the clay to settle at the bottom of the bucket. I saw online that some people add apple cider vinegar to speed this up, and if you have any idea why that works, please let me know in the comments below. Once the slurry had separated, you can see the water line and the separate sludge line here. You tip the top layer of water off and then grab an old bedsheet, lay it out and tip the sludge into it. We did this on the lawn so any immediate water could drain better, and then we picked up the bedsheet and tried to twist it to wring out more water. Then we moved it to a paved section of the garden which we thought would help the drying process. Some clay-like bits had actually already formed where the bedsheet was spun, so I thought that was a good sign. And now, again, it's a case of waiting whilst the water evaporates off. Now, I tried my best to do this when the weather was supposed to be sunny, but it being the great British summer that we all know and love, there were several rainy spells and even a couple of thunderstorms, but I checked the clay every day. The first day or two I tried to level out the clay so that it would dry evenly. On about the third day, some cracks started to form, which again I took as a good sign. Eventually, on the fourth or maybe the fifth day, the sludge was mostly dry and only had a few paw prints in it. Obviously you don't want it to be completely dry or it's unworkable, so this, hopefully clay, ended up like this. I bagged it up, stepped on a scale to see how much I'd made, and it came in at 12.5 kilos. Not bad with a minimal investment. So I tried moulding something with this stuff and noticed pretty quickly that it wasn't really behaving like clay. It was way less sort of flexible and would just crack if I tried to shape it into anything. But I thought I would try to make something, so I made this sort of little pot and thought that I'd give the processing another go. So I threw all my previously processed clay mud into a bucket, mixed it together with some water again, and then tried to filter it through a pillowcase. Theoretically, the clay particulates will stay in the water and go through the pillowcase because they're so fine, and any dirt and mud should stay in the pillowcase. But obviously that would be far too simple, and I found that the pillowcase maybe had too high a thread count and just wasn't really letting anything through. And this is where I finally admit defeat for this video. Maybe I need some different material to filter through, maybe some lower thread count bedding or something like that. Maybe I'll give this another go, but if you could leave any of your hints or tips in the comments, please do. This is how the little plant pot ended up. It did dry and it was quite hard and seemed quite sturdy, so I guess this could still be used as some sort of moulding material. It just isn't as good as clay.